Hello and welcome to Geekatplay Studio Tutorials. Let's look closer on some render options that we have it inside the view. So I'm going to open my render options, and what I want to do is look on this render right here as well as render destinations. By default it says internal. So what is meaning the view will render on a screen by using this internal render. By using internal render you can also specify to use network. And when you're going an option of network, you can also specify of the what node or render cows you can use it. Currently, we don't have it after detect, and I don't have any render cows installed yet, so we'll look on this in a second how to install this. Then next, we also have the option to use external. By using external, it's meaning view will render the scenery on background, so you can continue working on maybe to do other scenery, and the view will be rendering on your machine on a background and save to the disk by rendering off screen. So next also we have the options to use render node network. This is more advanced way to render, the fastest way, but again with this you need purchase special license for render node installations. As well you can need specify some properties, execution command line, or where you want to save it. But to do this, this is a little bit more advanced, and we won't cover installation of render nodes in this tutorial, but we will cover some using render farms for this. The below you notice will have different options depending on what we set. When we set render network, it says off screen. As well, when we have it external, it's using only off-screen mode because we can utilize the UI to do something else. Internal render will provide you more that you can select render in main view. Currently it's this view right here. Render to screen, it's what normally I use because I like to look on all those options where you can specify also size. And you can also render off screen when you use an internal render. However, render off screen does not allow you to use some of the node or connecting to network. So when we're going to render to screen, you also have the ability to save render directly to this disk, as well as enable after save for specific steps. This is kind of work very well when you do like animations and other or single images that is very extremely large. So let's look right now on render cows, and this is probably the easiest way to utilize inside the view. One thing you'll notice if you go to on top help, you have the ability to render cows. So by default the view come with the 5 view infinity or extreme come with 5 cows. So it's meaning you can install on 5 different machines that will include it to your machine if you need to render. So for example, in your office, if you can sneak to your co-workers and install render cow on a background, you can utilize power of the machines till they don't know. Or for example, in household, if you have it more, you can install more render cow nodes connecting to them and render this way as well. You can add more new packs by adding keys, so you can increase and buy in increments, I think, of 5 render. So currently I will just use it 5 of them. Let's install it. To install, you just need to go to your normal view and run setup, in which open your normal installation. Previously, in other versions, you need to run special render cow installation. Right now, it's kind of combined together, which is making nicer. So when you go click next, you notice right here, you have options to install network renders. From this point, you can select if you install Infinity or Extreme render node, which is kind of almost standalone on a background, but you need license for this more, or you can go and install render cows. Okay, the Infinity render cow will work also for the Extreme version as well. So we'll go next and just follow normal installation when install it. I will install on same machine as my main running, so it's kind of easy to will be preview and see what's going on. Okay, so I'll continue installing. And I'll just leave everything as default right now. Notice it takes very fast to install it. Okay, when you run render cow, you can see it's running on same machine. Normally you don't want to do, you want to run on separate machine. It's a little bit pointless to run on this machine for now, but as a test, an example is tutorials is what we're going. Currently, render cow is running on background and waiting for job. So we can also go ahead, click and a little bit cut off exit, but you can see settings. We can go enable and let's go look on port settings. By default, it's set my port settings, so I will leave it on. Sometimes you want to change this if, for example, you're running different version of the Vue, like Vue 9 and Vue 10, 11, and you want different render cows respond to different ports, so you want to install them and respond on different ports. But by default, I leave it right here, so we'll leave it running. At this point, if I'm going to render, enable network edit, okay, you'll notice okay, let's pop up, and I'm going to After Discover. After Discover will start scanning my ports and see whatever is available through all network. As well, you notice right here it's web broadcasting 5591, same things that running on my machine. The few tips when you do this, be sure that firewall, if it's enabled on some machines, it does open for these ports so that it can be discoverable to your network. If you at workplace, if you're at home, you probably can do this easy. If you do through the other network, or speak with your administrator so you can kind of connect it. You can see right here it's found my render cow on the same machine. It's take a little bit time because it's kind of right now conversation going between. I'm pausing right here, and right here we have it. It's try to establish connection. Also, what is nice, okay, it disconnected because it's on same machine, but you will notice, okay, right here, let me connect. One thing, Vue will automatically detect it if you have it updates, and will update your render cows automatically. So you'll notice the build will change. Again, currently this is because on same machine it will give you kind of effect, but at least you can see when it's discovered how it's showing. You can, by clicking enable, disable the machine. If you have it more than 5 render cows, and by your license you can connect only to the 5. Only 5 will be checked. You cannot check less, more. You can go anytime if you needed more power to the Eon software and purchase additional render cow kind of render cows nodes, so you can add more and more if you need to go. The next, right here you can see the force size. This is your force size of the backstep passing. So when you work with render nodes, what's happening, information passing to them. The best parts about this, that Vue will work with the nodes. If you work with animations, can pass single frames, or if you work on one big pictures, you'll notice how the Vue will start selecting and see a different computer will start pick up parts, and your image become render depend on what area that each node will pick up. Overall, if you are very heavy on render, I do recommend for you to install render nodes on multiple computers. If you have more than one, it's free. It's come with your version of the Vue, and it will increase at least 5 times, depending on computers, your speed, and you can perform much faster. So it's very easy setup. You can cancel job at any time and monitor as well, and you can see how it's easy connect. When I'm done, I just close, and when I'm render, it will connect to my node and will perform render. Again, in these tutorials, because I install locally, it's work a little bit different, but in other tutorials, when I start launch my render farm, you can see how many there will be. We'll look on more advanced render options in our next tutorials, and you can see also how fast it will perform versus to standalone.